All right. So as you know, like when we were going through the joins chapter, so I told you that there are number of joins in SQL Server, whether it is inner join, outer join, or full outer join, left join, right join, cross join. So we can use update statement with those joins as well. So this is what I went through into the last session. Then after that yeah, this is the example for that. And you can when you'll be working on it, you can it is very easy, I would say. That is simple join. It is just we need to use a update statement over there.
Okay.
After that I told the difference between delete and truncate, and how these both are going to make a difference between the data or the table on which you are working. Then I told about I covered a topic called views. So this was the a new chapter, I would say, for you, because in SQL Server we have already covered a lot of table type of object, like permanent table, then temporary table, then we covered table variable. So this was one of the similar kind of thing, view. And again you can it is a let me just show you in SQL Server that where these views are stored. So basically, when you open any SQL Server instance, and in any database, suppose that I have clicked on hello, and in hello you will see other folders as well, like database diagram, then you have tables, then you have views, synonyms, and then programmability. So this view folder is all about what we covered in last chapter. So these are the system defined views which are already there in the database, and you will find these views in all the databases. When I say all the databases which are specific to SQL Server, so these are system defined databases. And for an example, suppose that if I pick up a one, let's say columns. Okay, so if I write a query here, select star from information underscore schema dot columns. This is a view and system defined view basically. So I'm just running it. So you will get the result of this like this. Okay. So it says table catalog hello. That is the database, because I'm inside of hello database. Then you have table schema, that is DBO by default. Then we have a table name. So I have a table called hello here. This is, and we have sys log table as well. Why it is showing here this sys SSIS log. We have test. So basically what this schema sorry, the view is going to do here, or what it is doing is that it will provide you all the list of all the columns which are there in the this particular database. So this is the list of all the columns, and to which table this column belongs, that is the information given here. So this is the database, this is schema information, this is the table name, and this is the list of columns, right? And in each table, if I talk about this hello one, so let's say if I write another query, select star from hello F5. So I have two columns here, A and B, right? Now the information which I was getting here, for A 1 and for B it's 2. So this ordinal position, it will remain same in a table for a column. So what I mean that by this ordinal position you can identify a column for a particular table. Okay, you can give the name as A as well or B as well, but there are instances or there are situations where you need to identify a column with its ordinal position. So when you will be working with a lot of databases, or you will write cursor basically. Cursor is a kind of loop in SQL Server. So when you will be working with cursor, you will be using ordinal position of a column. This is giving information that whether the value is defaulted into column or not. So I have this update date column which has the value get date as default. Then is nullable, data type, length. So this is the all information about the columns. If it is event column, then you will find all the information about this column only. So this is, basically system defined view, which it does for you or for everybody who is logged into the SQL Server. But that day I told that what are the views, then how to use them and how to create a view, and then I went through the type of views. So this is what I covered in last session. In today's session I was supposed to continue with views only. So this is what I'm going to cover, that how to alter a view. But before altering a view, because as of now you were not there in the last session, so I'll tell you that how to create a basic view, and then we'll be we'll start our today's session with that.
Okay, but could you please tell me the difference between delete and truncate?
Delete and truncate. Okay. So basically what happens here, let me take any table. Okay, I have this PCCM reporting database and I have a scorecard table. I'm going to store all the data from this table into my one of the temporary table. PCCM reporting, and now I have 490 records in my temporary table. So now if I just tell you that delete, what it does, it deletes the specific record which you are going to mention. What I mean is that with delete you can specify a condition that deletes some records. When I say condition, it means you can use where clause with delete. But truncate, in case of truncate, there is no condition. You cannot specify any condition. You will not be able to use where clause. Okay, you cannot use where clause. So just for an example, like if I, first of all, let me write the select query for this table. Okay, so these are the records which I have here, and if I want, let us suppose that I delete the records for this particular practice, which is Boulder Medical Center. So I can write my query like this, that delete from table name. My table name would be #, where practice name is equal to this. So what this statement is going to do is that it will delete all the records for this particular practice, right? This is what happens in case of delete if you use delete statement. But in case of truncate, you will not be able to use where clause, because truncate does not accepts any condition. If you will use truncate and then truncate table, you need to write statement like this, truncate table and then table name. So what it will do, it will delete all the records in one go from the table. If I write where, it will throw an error, right? So you will not be able to mention where with truncate. But if you are writing query like this, that truncate table and this, it will delete all the records from the table. So now if I say that select star from temp, then I won't get any record over there. So this is the very first difference between truncate and delete. If I move forward, right? So normally what we do in every table, we use a serial number column or ID column or sequence number column, which is nothing but identity of a table. Okay, we use identity column in all of the table or in maximum tables. So in case we are deleting any record by using delete, so that particular identity will be deleted, or that particular record will be deleted because we are specifying the condition. But in case of truncate, identity does not matter. I mean, it will not be able to play any role because you are removing all the records from the table. Now, having said that, I will say, let us suppose if you use a query like this, let me write the other query which I'm talking about, that delete from hash temp. Okay, so this statement is going to delete all the data from temporary table because I'm not specifying any condition. So in this situation, end product will be same for both the conditions, whether I use truncate table this or delete from table this. Both records or both statements are going to delete all the records from the table. But if we have identity column in our table, right? So in case of delete, suppose that we have truncated the table once and I'm going to insert the records once again. I mean, after truncate, I'm inserting records in the table next time. Then the identity column will start from 1 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. You remember identity column, right? If you have any confusion regarding identity column, then please let me know. Otherwise, you won't be able to understand this concept.
I do remember.
Okay, all right. But in case of delete, what happens? Suppose that if I have deleted all the records from the temporary table and I had maximum number in identity column, suppose that 1000. Okay, if I had 1000 records in my table, then definitely the maximum identity would be 1000. So if I run this query, delete from temporary table this, and then I go back and insert some record. So the next identity will begin from 1001. So this is the number 2 difference, that in case of truncate, it will begin from 1, but in case of delete, it will begin from the last maximum identity value. So if I had 1000 earlier, so next time when I will insert data, it will begin from 1001. So this is the number 2 difference. And if I talk about further, then basis the behavior, the truncate deletes all the data in one go, but delete records the specific records. So truncate is faster. It's faster in terms of optimization and speed, but delete is slower in terms of speed or optimization of code. So this is the difference between delete and truncate.
So please explain drop.
Drop. Okay. So I guess I have already told that what drop is, but let me tell you once again. When we talk about database objects, okay, database objects, and what are the database objects? Anything like table, database itself, column, then let's say triggers or constraints, or we have indexes. So whenever these things come into the picture, we call them objects. And for each object, suppose that you want to delete them, then we do not use delete word for them. For any database object, we use drop word. So we can drop a table, we can drop a database, we can drop a column, we can drop triggers, we can drop constraints, we can drop indexes. But when we talk about data, or I would say when we talk about rows, okay, in that case, we talk about delete. So delete always comes with data and drop always comes with database objects. So this is the difference between delete and drop. And if you are supposed to, drop a table, then simple you need to write drop table and then table name. Whatever table name you have, just mention the table name. That table will be deleted or dropped from the database. In case you want to drop a database, you can write drop database and then database name. So similarly for all these objects, if you want to drop them, just write drop and then the type of database object, whether it is table, index, constraint, trigger, or the database name, or the name of that object. So it will drop that particular object. But in case of data, you will always use delete or truncate. I hope it will be clear now.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Any other question?
Oh, no.
Okay. So I'll go ahead from the topic which I left last time. So I have already shown you that what are the default or the system defined views. So again, I'm in a different database right now, but again you have all the similar kind of views here which are already built in the system. But you can create your own views. There is nothing a rocket science behind it. Just the simple syntax which you need to write. I'll tell you that what that syntax is. You need to write create view and then view name. So basically, let me tell you again that what kind of nomenclature we use. For table, we can give dview dot whatever table name you want to give, and then name underscore table. This is what we do in case of table. When we'll be working with stored procedures, then I will suggest you to keep the names like USP, user stored procedure, underscore name, whatever you want to give, underscore job or report, whatever it does, you can specify like that. If you are going to create function, then you can say dbo.udf, that is user defined function, the name, and if you want to give any suffix, then otherwise leave it. But these USP, UDF, in case of table, you need to use try to use these things while creating these objects, because suppose that you have created the database object, then definitely you can understand. But what if a third person who has not worked with you and come in and suppose that he want to check into database, then he will not be able to understand that what exactly that name is. Is it a table? Is it a stored procedure? Is it a function, or what it is? To remove that kind of doubt for a third person or for a new person, try to be in a practice to use such names. So I was about to tell that what kind of name and nomenclature we use for view. So that is VW underscore whatever name you want to give. So these types of name we use for view. And you can see into the system views already. For maximum views, they have used similar kind of name. Okay, let me check. No. They have not used, but basically what I'm telling you, this is from my experience. I mean, in our organization, basically we use similar kind of nomenclature, and it is good, because VW tells you that this is the view. However, you will get that view in the view folder only. But if you are using WV in a query, then it would be easier for a third person to know that, yeah, this is the view. Now let me go back and create a view for you. So I will say wview underscore VW, and I can give it any name, like let's say test. Then you need to write as and what query you want to define. So let's say I had I'm in PCCM reporting database, and I can write a query. This is my table scorecard. So I will say, let us suppose select top 100 star from scorecard. So this is going to create a view for us. It will have 100 records, right? Now the view has been created. If I go back and check into this database, I have refreshed my database and I'll go back to the view folder. You will see that we have a view here, dvo.wv test. Now, as I told initially, that temporary table, table variable, permanent table, and these views are nothing but a way to show data or to store data. But whatever I just said, the last sentence was incorrect. What I mean is, let me write this query. If you remember, we write the similar kind of query for a table. Had it been a table, it could have been, it would have given me the result, right? But it is also doing the same thing. It's giving me the result. But what happens in backend? This view underscore test is, it is not the data which you can see here is not stored in this data in this view. What I want to say is that whenever we create a view, it only stores the definition what we give it. So is the view which you can see right now, it has only this definition. This data will not be fixed, or I would say this data will not remain static. If I change the data in this table scorecard, so whenever you will run this query, you will see different data. So view always stores the definition. It will never store data. This is the key point. And that is why we say that view is again, user friendly, or I would say it is recommended to use, because right now I have written only one query here. Suppose that you are working on a project and you have, huge queries which you need to write again and again, or multiple times in the complete program. So in that case, you can create a view of that particular query. So at the place of using multi-liner query, you can use just a name and it will provide you the same result. This is the advantage of view, that why we use it and how it is used. Other advantage is suppose that you have created you are working on any web application and you have used permanent tables in a web application. So let us suppose some hackers are hack that website, so they can directly delete the permanent table by hacking your website. So if permanent table is deleted, then definitely it would be a huge loss to you and to your organization. But if you are using views in the at the place of permanent table, then hackers can remove your view, but the data will remain saved in the permanent tables. They will not be able to make any changes in the data. So this is the another advantage. To just on a smaller scale, the same thing. Let us say, suppose that you have a salary table, right? You have a salary table. When I say salary table, you have some details like employee ID, employee designation, right? You have tenure of an employee in that table and salary as well. Now everybody knows that salary is very confidential and it is not shared with other employees. But the table which you are working on, it has the salary column as well. Now, there is a request coming from a third person that he want to see the information from this table. Okay, so you can create a view and specify only these three columns into that. So what will happen? User will be able to see only these three columns, but he cannot see the salary. Or in other words, let me make some changes here. I will just tell you that how this thing works, that how can you only give the information about these three columns but not the salary. Okay, so the view which we have created today, this VW underscore test, and today's first slide said that alter views, how we alter our views. So I'll tell you that what we are going to do to alter our view. Similarly, like this is the view which we have created here. We can write that modify or alter script from here. If I click on it, then you will see another window which opens like this. So either you can alter your view from here, or you can simply write a query like alter view and then view name as what changes you want to make. So earlier I did top 100 from scorecard table. Now what I am going to do is I will say select, let me see that what all columns I have in my table. Scorecard. Okay, these are the list of columns in the scorecard. What I will say that let me write distinct practice ID. I'll take distinct practice name, and I'll take let's say total utilize from scorecard. Okay, so if I have created this view and if I run this query, I have just altered that basically. It says this commands completed successfully, and now if I run this view, this particular view, so it's gonna show me only these three columns or only these three informations: practice ID, practice name, and total utilize. Rest of the information is there in the table, original table, but third person or the user who asks for the data will not be able to see this the rest of the columns. So this is another security, and I mean in security point of view, the views are very important, and these, I mean, it is recommended to use them in your applications. At the place of permanent table, try to use view. And again, it does not save data, store data. It just create a definition for that. So let's move. We have just altered a view, which we have done here. And we saw that how earlier there were top 100 records for us. Now I have done only distinct practice IDs, practice name, and total utilize. So I have got 490 rows now, you can see. So basically this is what we do. And if you go back to the view column, you can see here columns, you have only three columns: practice ID, practice name, and total utilize. Okay, now let's move. It says drop views. So it says that when a view is dropped, it has no effect on underlying tables. Underlying tables is nothing but the table from which the view has been created. So in case of VW test underscore test, this is our underlying table. So if I drop this view, our data will not be impacted, which is saved in this table. That will remain same as it is. So this is the same thing which I was talking about in case of hackers, that they can delete your view, but it's not going to affect the permanent data which you have, because data is stored into the tables, permanent tables. Now it says dropping a view removes it its definition and all the permissions assigned to it. However, dropping a table that references a view does not drop the view automatically. You must drop it explicitly. So, so what basically going to happen? Suppose that there is a table and you have created a view based on it. So now if you delete the table, then definitely view will remain same, but you will not be getting any data here because the data has been lost because you have deleted your table or dropped your table. But view's definition will remain same. You will be able to see the view here in this list, but there will not be any data in that view. So this is the basic difference. If you drop a view, then what happens? And if you drop a table, underlying table, then what will happen? So this is, the difference. To drop a view, nothing. It's as simple as you can alter a view, you can create a view. Similarly, it's a database object. So you will write drop view and then view name. Okay. Now we have rename a view. So again, rename. So it said that you can rename a view without having to drop it. This ensures that permissions on the view are not lost. And the syntax is sp rename. Then you need to specify old view name and then new view name. Let me first of all rename it and then I'll tell you that what rename is. It says sp underscore rename. Okay, and then you need to specify old name. Old name is view test, comma, then you need to specify new name. So I will say vw underscore my view, and if I run this query, it says that changing any part of an object name could break scripts and stored procedures. Okay, so this is just the warning it has given me, and what it means is, suppose that you are using this view in other stored procedures or script or any SQL program. So if you are changing its name, then definitely you will have to change the name in those procs as well. Otherwise, if you're not changing it over there in the programs or scripts, so they will fail, they will not work. So that is why we get a warning like this. Whenever you rename a table, you get similar kind of warning. So I mean, not only case of this view or table. Whenever you will change any database object, you will get this warning, because if you are giving the reference to that particular object to somewhere else, so after changing the name, it will not work. You will have to change the name in the destination as well. Now, if I write my query again with the old name, which was select star from old view name, I'm getting an error that invalid database object. So what I need to give is the new name, which I have just changed it to. So now it will work. So this is how you can rename your view. Then the next thing which I'm going to do is, I was supposed to tell you that what this SP rename is. I'll be talking in detail about SP, what SP is. I used a term called USP, and then we have SP. Okay, SP is nothing but stored procedure, and USP is user stored procedure. All right. So these SPs are already there in the system. I would say the user defined SPs, or I should start saying it proc, stored procedure. So procedure in short, basically we call proc. Okay, for stored procedures we use whenever we say stored procedure, we call it proc or procedure. So most of the people or people use proc. So I'll be also using proc, and I'll show you that where this SP rename is. Earlier in till 2005, SQL 2005, we had the same SP underscore rename proc to change the name of database, table, or all the SQL objects. But after 2005, what happened? They have created a different proc or SP underscore rename proc for databases, but for other objects, it is still same. So if you go to this folder called programmability, and if I go to stored procedures, if I go to system stored procedures, you can say these are system defined stored procedures. And the thing which I was talking about, this SP rename, you will find that somewhere either in the SP list or in the function list. It's a very huge list because system provides a lot of stored procedures which are already inbuilt. Okay, rename, user account. Okay, if you want to search these procs, what you can do is you can go to filter, then filter setting, and I'll type rename here, and it will tell me whether we have. Okay, so you can see these are the two rename SPs, SP underscore rename, which we have just used here, and this is SP underscore rename DB. So this is used to rename the database. First of all, you need to mention the old name, comma, new name, and it will change the name of database for you. So these are the system defined stored procedures. In today's session only, we'll be creating our own stored procedures. So let's see. Right now, I'll be going to the next slide. It says modifying data using views. So basically, this is nothing but suppose that you have a view and you want to modify some data. So as I have already said in beginning that view do not save any data, it only saves the definition. So how it would be possible to change data from view? There are some conditions, but still that is also possible. There are conditions when it is not possible, but you can change the data through view into permanent tables. So now what condition it is? That a view may be derived from multiple underlying tables. When I say multiple underlying tables, so you can see when we created view, I used this single query that I was fetching data from one table. But let us suppose you have a query which says a join between, which tells the which is a join between multiple tables, right? So in that case, you will have multiple underlying tables. So the slide was talking about the same, that a view may be derived from multiple underlying tables. Now, a single data modification segment that affected both underlying tables is not permitted. Okay, a single data modification statement that affected both the underlying table is not permitted. So basically, if suppose that if you want to make changes in a view, basically what I would say, let me say like this, that you have created a view based on two tables. Now you want to change some data through the view. If you are suppose that inserting or deleting any data in that view, you will not be able to do that because it's gonna affect your multiple tables. Okay, so that is a restriction actually. But if your view is dependent on only one table, then easily you can do that. But still there are other conditions, that suppose that all the columns are not used in view. There is a column in a table which says not null. Okay, but that is not there in the view. Now, if you are changing the data into your view, you will not be able to do that because there is another column which says not null and you are not affecting that column. Because whenever you will insert the data into view, it will be inserted into permanent table, but in case that not null column is not used in the view, so it won't let you enter any data in the permanent table. So that is again a constraint, I would say, or a limitation that you cannot modify data. Okay, I know that it was very confusing what I just said, but again, that is that is not possible to change data through view in case you have a not null column in table. Okay, you cannot modify the following of the columns using a view. Columns that are based on computed values like sum, average, minimum or maximum. Columns that are based on row aggregate functions like group or having, and columns based on built-in functions like numeric, string and string functions. So wherever you are using, in most of the cases, they said that if you are using a function, then you cannot modify the following columns, right? So these are the limitations when you cannot modify the data using view. All right. So till now, we talked a lot about view, whatever we covered in the last session and we covered today. And I did tell you that what SP underscore rename was. Our next topic is nothing but the same, called stored procedure. We'll be calling it proc or SP. SP is stored procedure. So it says a pre-compiled execution. Before I say pre-compiled or anything like that, let me tell you that what stored procedures are. Okay, so stored procedures, as it says that stored procedures, or in if I say it in simplified language, it would be saved steps. Procedures, you can say steps. So saved steps. Now when I say saved step, what I mean that let me show you something. Like similarly what we did here, we created a view, but now let us suppose my query is like this, that in first go I write select top 100 from scorecard, and I store that into one of the temporary tables, let's say into hash temp. Okay, so this is the first query which I'm writing. Syntax near into select top 100 into temp from scorecard. Into hash temp. Okay, syntax near keyword into. Okay, sorry, I'm not using top here. That is why. Okay, I've got top 100 records into my hash temp table now. Now in second step, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I will see that what all data I have in my hash temp. And as in second step, I'm going to, aggregate my, let's say practice IDs, and I'm going to find some of these things. So I will write my next, in my next query, I will write select practice IDs, comma, sum of IP underscore PM, comma, sum of OP underscore PM. Okay, I've just taken two columns. I'll say from hash temp, and then I will say group by and here it would be practice ID again. So this is the next query which I have just written. Okay, operand data type varchar is invalid for some operator. Okay. Hinduja, it's a very important error which we have got, and while working with the data, you might get this error. So how to override this, and what should we do to overcome this error? It said operand data type varchar is invalid for some operator. First of all, you need to know that what is the meaning of this error, that what it says. It says operand data type varchar is invalid for some operator. I'm putting a sum operation on these two columns, and I really don't know that which column has a varchar value, and that is why we are not able to sum it, because you cannot add varchar values. So that is a problem which is occurring into this error. So what should we do is we will have to convert this value into integer or numeric, I would say. Okay, so to change any varchar value into integer, you can use two things: either use convert or cast. So I'll use cast, and then this as int. Similarly for this column, let me just run it, whether I'm able to run it or not. Okay, still it says there is an error. It says conversion failed while converting the varchar value this to data type int. Now again I have got the same error. So here I have already did that. Now in case of this, I will put the same function, that cast this as int. And now let's see that what it's gonna do. Okay, it's still giving me the same error.
Float.
Hello? Yeah?
I think you have to use float.
Select star from this, then hash temp where IPPMPM is equal to this. Okay, it's not, sorry, I need to write this. I wanted to pick this value. Hinduja, were you talking about this query?
Nope. I
Okay.
thought it was float.
Okay, you are right. Okay, so the place where I'm using int, definitely, because the data is not integer type, it's float type or decimal type. So I will have to write float.
Yeah.
Now it will work. You're right. Thank you. So if I run this query, I'm going to get the result. Okay, so this is how I have just written. I have first of all, let me give the name to these columns. Let me give IPPMPM. Here I will say OPPMPM. I've got the value. So in order to perform this task, I have written 3 queries.
Yeah.
Okay, and let us suppose if I ask you, no, just leave it. I will tell that in next step, that what I'm this is what we have done. We have written 3 queries in order to get this result. Now whenever I'll be asking for the such data, are you going to write all these 3 queries again and again? Whenever,
No.
so what will you do?
Like we'll store it in a stored procedure and then we'll call it from that.
Exactly. I mean, so I was about to tell you that how to create that stored procedure so that you can use it like this, right? So if I save all these 3 queries into a stored procedure, or I would say you must have heard of a batch file in DOS. So we have a batch file, and its command is basically bat. So what that does, it stores all the DOS commands into one file, and whenever you run that file, it executes all the commands which have been written into that batch file. Similarly, if I give a name to all these queries, so whenever I'll be running that name or executing that name, all these queries will execute. So stored procedure is nothing but a you can say group of queries, batch. So this is what stored procedure is, and it says that pre-compiled execution. So what happens whenever you create a stored procedure, it compiles all the code. So when next time you will be using that stored procedure, it will not compile because it has already compiled that while time of creation. So it saves your time. So let's just read this. It says that SQL Server compiles each stored procedure once and then reutilizes the execution plan. This results in tremendous performance boost when stored procedures are called repeatedly, because we use the stored procedures regularly. Then it says reduced, yeah. Then it says reduced client server traffic. So stored procedures can be reduced long SQL queries to single line. So what I was talking about here, that I have 3 queries. I can just give a name to this. So I'll be using that name again and again, not all the queries. So that shows that my big program will be transformed into a small program. Efficient to reuse the code and programming abstraction, enhance security controls. You can grant user permission to execute a stored procedure. So that is again, DBA part. They can, grant access that whether you can create a stored procedure or not, whether you can run a stored procedure or not. So these are the rights which can be given. So before I go ahead with the example, or basically the create or alter syntax, let me create a stored procedure here. So I'll use only these queries to create a stored procedure. What you need to do is you can write a name called create, then proc, or you can write procedure as well. But as I said that in practice we call proc regularly, so I'm using proc, and then you need to give a name to it. So I'll say dbu USP user defined procedure. The name, let's say I'll say it scorecard. And what it gives us, it gives you the sum of these jobs. So I will say let's say job. Then you need to write as begin, and at the end you will write end. And if I click F5 here, or I select this complete statement and then execute it, you got it that commands completed successfully. And you can check that where it got created. In order to check that, programmability, stored procedures. So this is the stored procedure which just got created. That USP underscore scorecard underscore job. Now, how to execute this? There are, 2 ways you can execute it. Number 1, you can simply write this stored procedure here, select it and click on execute. You will get that result. Okay, I have got 2 results. Maybe, I would have done something. I would have written any other query. That is why I'm getting two outputs. Or other way of running this proc would be exec, or you can, you can directly write execute. Execute this. So again we have got 2 results. So these are the 2 ways you can execute it. Now let me just change the query. Okay, if you want to alter it, so either you can write alter this proc, or you can say is that you can modify this. Go and modify. So you will get the complete query. Due to this, I was getting two things. Let's say I will remove.
Hmm.
I have removed that, and now if you can see that here we have alter. It means if I run this, it will change the definition for it, and I can go back to the window and run it again. So it will provide me only one result. Okay, so this is how we have altered it, we have created it. What is the next thing in the slide? It says create and alter, then rename. Okay, let's talk about rename. Rename is nothing but as we renamed our view, similarly you need to use the same stored procedure. Sorry, yeah, same stored procedure, which is sp underscore rename, old name comma new name. So it will rename that. Here you have drop proc, so it will work with drop procedure and then the name which you want to give. It will drop your stored procedure. We have already executed. Now let me talk about this in detail. We already have the definition here. I'll show you how to drop proc, and if I go back and I check, you won't find that proc because that got dropped. So I will go back my previous window and I will create it once again. Alright, we got it. Now if I have this query here, which I already shown you that we have this data. Let us suppose if I put a condition. See, right now I'm running only these two queries, so don't get confused. I'm putting them into another page. And what I want is, I want you to give me the result where practice ID is equal to.
So what's the keyboard shortcut you will use to write in your query in the window?
Could you please repeat?
What's the keyboard shortcut you use to select the query in the new window? Open the query in the new window?
Okay, that's Control N. Right?
Control F or M?
N. CTRL plus N.
Okay.
Okay. So I have done this, and if I run this query, okay, this column is not correct. It should be underscore. Here we go. If I run this query, then I'm getting the result of particular this practice ID. What if I want to create a stored procedure wherein I get the result for specific practice ID? Because till now whatever proc I have created, I used to get the result for all the practices, but I don't want that. If I want to give a value that I want a detail of this only, then I should get detail for this. In order to do that, we will have to take a variable, right? And how you are going to specify a variable in the proc? For that, I will alter this. Let's say alter proc, the same proc. I need to give a variable here, and I will take the variable, let's say practice varchar. Not varchar, let's say int. Okay, it's varchar. So I will have to say varchar, and length I'm giving 20. So I have taken a variable called practice, and length I have given 20. And in here at this place, I will have to specify my condition that where my practice ID equal to this variable. So whatever value I'll be passing into this practice variable or the parameter, I'll be getting the data for that particular practice. Okay. Let me just run this first, and then I'll come back to this. Right now, what I have done, I have just ran that, and I will take the list of some practices. Select distinct practice ID from this. Let me take a list of this. I'll keep it here. Okay. Now I'm going to run my proc. This is the proc. If I run it directly, it will give me an error that will say that procedure or function expects parameter at practice, which is not supplied. Basically, this is the same parameter which I mentioned in the proc, for which I wanted to get the result. Now I will mention a value. Let's say I'm going to pass this value. It was a varchar value, so it has to be passed into inverted commas. And now if I run this, okay, I haven't got the result for it. Let me take any other value. How it is possible? I use distinct. Let me use top 100. I'll take these here. Now let's say I'm passing this value as in this my proc. Okay, so see why earlier I was not getting result, because the practices which I was using, those may not be the part of that temporary table where I took top 100 records, because I used distinct from this scorecard table. So I have passed this value, so I have got the result for it. If I pass any other value, I'll get the result for that particular practice. So it's changing. So this is the other way of using SQL Server, and this is how I would say other way, but this is the maximum used way, wherein we specify a variable and we pass our required value, and then it returns the required result, whatever we look for. Now I am going to make some more changes into this proc, and I will add one more column. So let me go back, and this time look at very carefully, because it will make much more sense now. I have taken top 100 records, and no, I'm not going to take top 100 records from the scorecard. I will directly take the data from scorecard table. Basically, I'm writing only one query, but I am going to take more number of columns. Let's say I have a practice name. This is the practice name. I will not include anything else, but I'm going to use other operators with this, and this time I will use like practice. Let's say percentage plus percentage. So you know that what this is going to do when I have written where practice name like percentage plus practice plus percentage. So whatever value I'll be passing, that will be passed into this parameter or the variable, but these percentages will be concatenated to that practice. I'm running this. proc. Okay. Stored scorecard dot practice name is invalid in the select list because it is not contained either in. Okay, that is a group by error. This practice name is not included in the list. Okay, now this ran very good, but now I need not to give the practice name, practice IDs, because I have just changed the definition for it. Now I need to give the practice name. So let me create another query for you, and I'll take that directly from select distinct practice name from scorecard. I have these names, but in my stored procedure I have used a query for like. So let us suppose if I put B here, this is going to give me the result for all the practice names where B is in their name. Let's say like this. You are getting all the records where B is there in the name, because in my proc I have used like operator. So my motto behind showing this was how to show like within stored procedure. This is the only one query right now I have written. You can use number of joins here, and then you can go forward and show the result. Let's say I change it to central because I saw that there was a practice name called central. So I have used it to cent, and you can see all the names which you get here, they will have center or cent the keyword in them. Similarly, all I saw all was there in one of them. So it says all in the first row we have aligns. Here we have valley, valley. So we have used all. Similarly, this is for varchar field which we have been using the parameter, but you can use the parameter for integers as well. So this is how the stored procedures works. And if you really want to see it with the parameter, then you can come here, refresh it, and go back to the stored procedures. I have clicked on that particular stored procedure which I have created. You have parameters. It says practice as a parameter, returns integers. Okay, so it says that practice, but why it is doing, because earlier in the very first time it used to return the integer, but don't go on it the returns integer. Just stick to this thing, that what is the definition of this parameter. If any time you want to modify this proc, you can directly come here, right click, and then modify. You will get another definition page, and you can modify the definition of the proc or stored procedure from here. This is one of the smallest example which I have taken, but similarly let me show you that how big stored procedures you can write. I have I have a database called CMS Pull Audit. So this is basically related to one of my audit projects, wherein I used to get data in Excel files, and then I was supposed to audit each and every column of that Excel data. So I used to import that data into SQL Server first in these tables, and then I used to run my SQL procs on these tables, those procs which I have written like this. This is the list of the stored procedures. And if I click on any of these things and modify, you can see the stored procedure. It says the object stored procedure. This is the name of stored procedure and today's date, because today we have just clicked on the modifying query. So it was created in 2013. And you can see that these are the variables which I have defined here: date, time, start date, and end date. And then from here I have started writing queries. So for each column, suppose that if in that table we have 10 columns, then I used to write 10 I would say 20 queries, two queries for each column to in order to audit that. So these are the various combinations which I have written here. If I talk about that the first query, this is the when case which I have used. I'll be talking about the when case like with you. So when case, what it is doing is that it's looking for the multiple spaces in the name. There was a condition that member name cannot have more than two spaces between, more than one space between first name, middle initial and last name. So in order to audit that thing or to capture multiple spaces in the name, I have written the first line. Second line was to audit that all the characters of a name are uppercase here in the third row, sorry. If had it been any smaller lower case in the name, it will throw an error. Similarly, the name cannot have special characters or no punctuation sign for that. So similarly, this like operator you can see, and you can mention these all signs. If you find any of these signs, it means there are special characters in the name. And if you do not find any of these characters, it means there is no special character in the name. Similarly, you can see here, you can use this statement to audit whether your name has alphanumeric. It means a name cannot have any numbers, right? But if suppose that by mistake there are it is a combination of number and character, then you can audit or check that using like operator with such string in single quotes. So similarly, I have written a query for each and every column. This is one of the proc. Similarly, I have written number of procs here to audit all the data. So you can see that this proc contains in total this proc contains 436 rows. So at the place of running each and every query one by one, I used to run just this name, execute. Okay, so this is the, you can say, beauty of a stored procedure, that you need not to go to a single query and then run that. You just write the complete script and run it in one go. It will save you a lot of time, because the very first time when you will create this, the SQL will check or it will create an execution plan for this particular stored procedure. Execution plan, which when we talk about execution plan, it is nothing but a, you can say, SQL creates a cache in its memory, right? That how this proc gonna run. So next time when we'll be running the same proc, I should not say cache, but it's a, you can say it stores the execution plan in memory. And next time when you will run this, it directly refers to that execution plan without compiling the code. So the time which is supposed to used in compilation, that gets saved. So this is the in other word, I would say, when I'll be talking about user defined functions. So this is the advantage of using stored procedures over user defined functions, because whenever you use user defined functions, they gets compiled every time whenever you use them. But stored procedures get compiled only once, or the very first time when you create or alter. So this was one of the example which I just shown you. And when you will start working, you will be also writing number of queries. This stored procedure only contains 17 rows, but the last which I shown you, that had 432 rows. So it depends on the logic which you need to implement or which you need to apply. So similarly, this is the requirement, you will have to write lengthy codes, and you can group all the queries into the stored procedure. Okay, so this was all about stored procedure, how to execute them. We have executed them. Now next thing is error handling in stored procedure. So as we know that we write number of queries in a stored procedure. Suppose that you have written 10 queries in the stored procedure, and you have ran only stored procedure. That's it. Now, what if any of those 10 queries gets failed? Okay, so it would be very difficult for you to understand which query got failed or where the error occurred. So in order to handle such a situation, we have a error handling concept in stored procedure, and this is what this slide is covering right now. So it says the function is used, this at error. It is basically the error code. This is the error code function in SQL Server, and this function is used to implement error handling code. It contains the error ID produced by the last SQL statement executed during a client's connection. Now you might ask that where we get the error ID. Okay, so let us suppose, let me run this query again, and this time I will, okay, let me just take this query outside of the stored procedure. I'll remove this practice name, and at this place let me give any character. Let's say H I have given. Now as per the query, it should give me all the records where practice name has H, and it will give me the sum of these two columns. So now if I run this, it will throw an error. It says message 8120 level 16 state 1 line 1 column stored, sorry, scorecard dot practice name is invalid in the list because it is not contained in either an aggregated function or group by clause. So here what you say, message 8120, this is nothing but the error message code, or error ID will be attached to it. So this level 16 is basically, this is line 13. No, I need to check this. Okay, this is line 20, column 1, character 1. Okay, let me use that at error code ID so that you will be able to get exactly that what error code we get. Okay, so it says that error ID produced by last SQL statement executed during a client's connection. When a statement executes successfully, at error contains 0. Okay, if it is 0, it means there is no error. To determine if a statement executes successfully, an if statement is used to check the value of a function immediately after the target statement executes. It is imperative that at error be checked immediately after the target statement because its value is reset when the next statement executes successfully. So basically what they're talking about, that in this example, basically they have taken at error. This is a system defined parameter, so you need not to define it here in this proc. Now what they have done here in this proc, that they are trying to insert a value into table 1, and if it throws an error, they will capture that error code and they will print that error occurred. So let's see. Okay, let us implement the same thing in the SQL Server. What I'm going to do is I will create two tables here, and I'll tell you the real scenario that how it works in when you're working with stored procedures. I will be creating two tables. First, let me create table, and then I will say I have, okay, my table, and I'll take only one column. Let's say integer, sorry, not the integer, basically ID, and then integer. I've taken one column. I'll create this. That's all. Now next thing what I'm going to do is I'll create another table, and I will say create table, and I'll say my underscore error table. and here I'll give error ID as a first column. That should be integer. The next column I will take, let's say, okay, I have error code and then error occurred they want. Okay, error message. This dot error message. Okay, right now let me type just message. I've taken a column called message and I will take it as a varchar. Let's say 100, and then I will take another column and I will say error date, and I will default it to get date time, then default to get date. Alright, now this is the next table which I am going to create. Done. So I have two tables here. Now using this example, what they have done, right? Let me create a stored procedure. I'll be writing the same stored procedure here. Let's say create proc. Let's say error underscore proc. No, I will not say error proc. I will say dbo dot usp underscore error handler. This is the name which I have given, and they have taken a variable through which they are going to insert the value into the table. So let's say add value as integer. This is the variable they have taken, then as, and now I will say begin. So insert into my table, the first table which I created, that was my table, and values. So I need to give only one value here. So right now I have taken a variable, so I will just write simple. I will take my variable here like this. This is the insert statement which got completed. Now if this is going to throw an error, so if at error is greater than 0 or is not equal to 0, whatever you want you can write. You can write not equal to 0, is equal to 0 specifies that there is no error, and if it is greater than 0, so it means there is an error. So if it is greater than 0, then I will write another query and I will say insert into my error table. Where is the error table? Okay, this one. Values, and I will insert the values here like error this number 1. I'll insert this value, then I will insert I said message, so I will say error occurred, and in then last, that is by default, but again I will take get date so that it will insert the date into it. Then and then like after this, okay, this is how your if condition ends here, and this is how your proc ends here. So you can see that this is the proc which I have created. We have done error handling here. In case of error, it will insert these three things into my error table. Alright. Now what I am going to do is, let me insert some value. So whenever I'll be running this proc, and whatever value I will specify with this is going to insert that value in the table. So let me just alter it, and I will write one more query, alter, and Before int, I will write this as well. Select star from my table and select star from my error table. Let me alter it. There we go. I'll delete it. Now we have this proc. If I run this, it throws this error that the value is not specified. At this error, I will not get anything. Why? Because I use that at error parameter inside of the query, but inside of the select statement, sorry, insert statement. But right now, whatever error we have got, that is before that, that is out of scope. So now I need to specify a value here. Let's say I have specified 1. If I run it, that worked successfully. I have one record inserted into the table and I have not got anything in the error table. Okay. As soon as I have inserted this, if I insert 2 here, you will get that another value got inserted and there is nothing in the error table. Now let's see if I insert a value like this, A, and I'm running this, it says that error converting data type varchar into int. I have got an error and let's see what happened into my error table. It should have given me the result, but not sure what happened in the back end. Okay, it didn't work. Let me go back to the my proc. Here we go. Modify. Okay, insert into this table value is this. If error is greater than 0. Okay, just at the place of this, let me just print the error. Let's see. Print and I'm going to run that query once again, this one. Converting data type varchar to int. Okay, it's not capturing. Okay, it's giving the error at this level only because I'm passing integer as. Okay, let me take this varchar because what I'm trying to show here right now I'm not able to do it. So I have just changed it to varchar, and in table only integer field can be inserted. Let's see now what is going to happen. It says conversion failed while converting the varchar value a to type int. My error table. No, I did change the proc. Okay, it's not working right now. But Hinduja, I will tell you that how to handle such a situation wherein what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to insert a varchar value into integer column. So what basically it will do, it will throw an error. And I wanted to capture that error so that I can show you that in this table, my error table, you get the error code with this message and get date, that when that error occurred, right? So I'll let you know in the other class. But right now, this is how exactly you can implement such a situation where you can handle the error. All right. See, apart from this, because this at error, whatever we were doing here, that was specific to that particular block where this error occurred. Let us suppose in this column. So it was, specific to this particular column. But there is other way how you can, catch the error. That is try and catch block. So this is what you can implement the error handling for your stored procedure, and this is again similar to that. But what happens that while writing your queries, you need to start the try and catch block. So that I'll be telling you in detail when we'll be writing the try catch block for the SQL proc. So you can just read right now. It says that this is similar to the exception handling in the programming languages. A group of transact statement can be enclosed in try block, and if an error occurs in the try block, control is passed to the another group of statement that is enclosed in the catch block. So you have two blocks in the program. First one is the try block, and another is the catch block. So whatever, I suppose that in the try block, if you get any exception or any error, so the control will be passed to the next block. Next block is nothing but it will capture the error code, error message, or whatever values you will insert or pass from one block to another. Those things will be passed into that block. Then try and catch constructs can be nested either by try block or the catch block can contain nested try catch constraint. What I mean nested, that you can use multiple try catch blocks into your one of the stored procedure or within a try catch block. So meaning is that you can use multiple try catch blocks inside of a existing try catch block. Now, try catch block must be immediately followed by an try block must be immediately followed by an associated catch block, including any other statement between the end try and begin catch statement generates a syntax error. So right now it would be confusing, or it would not be making any sense to you. But when you will be writing this into the query, you will definitely understand that what is the sequence, that after every try block you use a catch block, and how you can make them nested. Okay, in the scope of catch block, the following system functions can be used to obtain information about the error that caused the catch block to be executed. So here it says that error number returns the number of error. Error severity tells you the what is the level of the error. Then error state returns the error state number. Then you have error procedure, returns the name of the stored procedures or the trigger where the error occurred, right? Error line, it will tell you that in which line the error occurred. And then error message, basically the message about the error, that what basically you got as an error. So in this example, you can see that they have used begin transaction, or we say begin tran, and then they have started their try block. So from this try block to end try, this is the first block which they have been telling you as a try block. And inside of this try block, they have deleted a record, that delete from this production.product table where product ID is equal to 980. Then begin catch. If anything, any exception or any error will occur in this block, then the control will be passed to the begin or the catch block here. So now the catch block is, they have started and they are trying to say begin catch, select error number this, and they are inserting that into, you can, insert that into your table so that you can have the details. Or see, if you want, we can apply the same logic into our proc which we just used. We were not getting the, we were not getting the exact result. So let's say I'm just trying to use the same thing here, because I don't know what's wrong, what happened with this proc which we written earlier. So let's say as begin, and from the begin you can start begin transaction. begin transaction. Then after that you need to start your begin try block. In try block I have written this value that I want to insert into my table values this, and after this I will end this try block. The first thing got completed, and then here I will start begin catch. So this is the catch block which I have started, and in the catch block, let's say insert into my table, and at the place of values, see I already have 3 values. I don't know why this error was not working, because so what I will do at the place of this, I will write select. I know that there are 3 columns, so first of all I will take the error number. Error number, you will get all these functions already in the system. Error number, then I had error message, that I can take error message, and after that I had the date. So let's see, either I have date, line, number, procedure, severity, state. Okay, let me write the date by myself. I will write get date. So these are the things which I have just selected, and below this I need to write if any transaction will occur, right? If transaction count is greater than 0, then roll back. Roll back transaction. And here your catch block will also end. And rest of the things you can omit. I will avoid all these things, and then you can say commit transaction. I have tried using the second plan of error handling here, and let's see that whether this works into this table or not, because we saw that first thing was not working in our case. It says invalid column name error number. Okay, yes. So basically in this table we have these columns. So at the place of error number I will say error number as error ID, and then error message at the place of error number a message we will have to use message, and for get date we will have to use error date, so that it will insert the values into the table. Invalid column name error. Okay, basically these are functions, right? So now it's got completed, and let's see that this time what happens with our proc. If I insert A into it, okay, it says that 0 rows affected, message, that message 3930 level 16 state 1 procedure error handler line 12, current transaction cannot be committed and cannot support operation that writes to the log file. Roll back the transaction. Commit transaction result has no corresponding begin transaction. Okay, let's see. All right, we did 2 transactions here. That is why. Okay, now I understand that why we were not getting the result in first case as well, because we are trying to insert the value into a table. So this is a different transaction. The first transaction is this, the second transaction is this, and that is why even the first case it was not working. Commit transaction has no corresponding begin tran, and here you will see in this table that first case is not working, but one row affected, my table, select star from my table. You got these records, one again got inserted. Okay, Hinduja, are you still there? Hello? Hinduja?
Yeah, your voice is breaking.
Okay. So whatever I'm doing right now, can you, are you getting any point here that what I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
I know it is very confusing, the error handling part in a SQL, proc SQL. That is very confusing. But we have, used two approaches. One was using, the error, this at error parameter. This is again a system build parameter which we have been using. And the another approach was creating your try catch block. Okay, so these blocks are used basically for exceptional handling. Wherever any exception will occur in our code, that that code will be captured, and you can store that into a table, or if you want you can print that message. So I would say that like after this video, or look into this video, or you can go through the PPT. But if still you have any confusion, then you can talk to me, or you can ask the same question again, that how to use these things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Sure.
I would say that do go through these things.
Yeah.
This was
Absolutely.
yeah, this was all about your stored procedure, what we have done. And like there is a big use of stored procedure while writing codes. The next thing is the user defined function that I wanted to go through. So would you like to go through UDF today itself, or shall we do it tomorrow?
Yeah, you can go through today.
Today, all right. So if you would be initially, I guess in third class we did a lot of functions, the system defined functions. So at that time I told that the system defined functions can be seen in the programmability folder itself, and you have table valued function, scalar valued function, then aggregate functions, and a number of functions you can see into the system function folder. So this is what we saw, and some of them we went through. So for example, like date functions, we did date part, date name, day, get date, month, year. So we did these functions. These were the system defined functions. But now the thing comes, suppose that we are going to create our own function. As we have created stored procedures, we can create our own functions that can be used into the procs or in the queries wherever you want. So what user defined functions are, act like as a function in a programming language and can be parameterized and called any number of times. Faster execution, reduced network traffic. The ability for a function to act like a table, the inline table and multi-statement table function. So what basically this is talking about, that when we covered the first chapter on functions, I told you that there are scalar function and table valued function. So scalar function always return a single value. Data type can be anything, whether numeric or string or general, but we have table valued function. They always return a table or a list. So it is basically talking about this multi-statement table functions or inline table. Gives the developer the ability to break out complex logic into shorter and shorter codes block. There are three types of UDFs: scalar UDFs, inline table valued, and multi-statement table valued. So basically these are the three different types, which scalar we have already completed in the first chapter of functions. Basically today we'll be talking about inline and multi-statement table valued functions. So they have given an example that how you can create a UDF. So this is again if you look at this code or the script what they have written here, this is more or less same but like as a stored procedure. So before I tell you this function or we create this function, let's see, or let me just tell you that let me create a small function for you first. Then let's say and create function, let's say my date. This is the name what I have given to my function, and here I will pass let's say add day number. I'm just going to create anything right now, and I will say it as a, let's say, integer. I've taken a variable and I'm telling it as a integer. Now later on what I'm going to do is I'm taking another another, you would say, the keyword, that is return, and I will say date time. It will return you the date time, and in what variable it will return, because you will have to store that value. So you can see that what they have done, they have basically shown that what would be the data type of your return value. So you need to use I have taken this date time as a return. Now you can close the bracket, as, and what I'm going to do is basically I will write select okay function. You can write any required calculation here. You can give any query, like as we have been doing into stored procedure. You can write any calculation. So as if now, like I have taken day num as the value here, and return I'm going to take date time. You can change it to anything, whatever you want. I'm taking this. Why? Because I wanted to do some calculation. So let's say I will do date def, or let's say day add, then interval, let's say increment int. This is what this variable will be used here, and then let's say I am giving get date. This is one of the query which I have written. And here I need to declare another variable, that declare return as date time. So this is one of the variables which I have taken. It will return you the value as date time, and I'm going to store this I'll write set this is equal to this. So till now, I have set a value into my function, and then we can write. Okay, so do you understand the code which I have written here, Hinduja? Just think about this code right now. What I have done, I have created a function, given it a name of my.
I can't hear you.
Okay, is it fine now?
No, I still can't hear you.
Okay, okay. Okay, I have just written a function to calculate, to add months into the date time, and it will return the date again. So this is the function, when you are using this function. Till now this is just the function which I have created. But if you want to use this function, you can directly give a number. What tool I was using, yeah, like you can say, give the name of function my date, and then you need to specify the integer value which you want to give. So that is true, what I have been doing. Now before that, let me just go to the function folder, and let's see that whether the function which I have created is there or not. So this is scalar valued function my date. It's already there. I have modified it. You can see that this is the function which I have created. It says that declare return date time and set date return is equal to, it will what, in this variable I'm filling a value of this calculation. Or what you can do is, basically, if I write 2, if you want to break this up, you can write like this, and here you need to give 2 and then run this. This is calculating the date for you. So basically, yeah, the same thing I want here you to do, that whenever you will be writing your code like this, okay, and it will execute. Or basically what else you can do is, this is the query. Let me, Okay, right now at the place of calculation, let me set any value so that it would be better, because right now it's not giving me the uh, correct calculation, just the name. If I go back and run my this proc which says my date, let's say select my date, it will, okay, invalid column my date. No, I mean something is wrong with this code right now. Okay, that is why. Yeah, just give me a minute. Let me just think through. Or if you are able to find out anything, then please tell me.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Hindu, it's working. See what I have done here. At the like in the beginning, I took dates. What I have done, there was something wrong with the dates column or the value. So what I have done this time, I have just taken day number as a variable. I have taken the data type as integer. All right, and then I want this function to return a value in terms of integer only. Okay, so in order to take a output from the function in integer, I have taken a variable dot add return. Now it is going to whatever result I will get, that I will get in form of this return at return variable. So I have put my calculation here that whatever number I will give in day number, it will sum that value to the same value. Okay, and then it will return me. Return is a keyword and this return is the variable. If you are getting confused, then we can change this return into let's say result.
No problem.
Okay, and this result is gonna give us the final result of this calculation. I can change into multiplication as well. So whenever I'll be trying to run this, now what I'm going to do is I will pass any other value 5, and if I run this, you will see that I have got result as 25. I have just written one function. Now it would be clear that what is the basic code you need to write a function,
Yeah.
right? If I give any other number, let's say 6, it's gonna revert me 36. And this is one of the simplest calculation I would say that I have used. you can implement any other logic. There was some issues with the date calculation earlier when I was using it. So I will go through that, what should we do in case of dates, and I'll tell you in the next class. So basically there are three things, two things which I need to tell you in tomorrow's class. That is the error handling once again in the stored procedure. You can go through, but I will tell you the details, that how to do this try catch block and add error, and the date part, which we have just done in the stored procedures. Okay. And
Yeah.
in terms of limitation of, just let's go through this slide and then we'll finish it today. That UDF prohibit uses of non-deterministic built-in functions. However, it is allowed in SQL Server 2008. Non-deterministic built-in function, let's say what we call it, uses of non-deterministic built-in function. Okay. UDF cannot call a stored procedure. Okay, this is very generic, that you cannot leave the first point right now. The second point is you cannot call stored procedures in a function, but you can call a function in a stored procedure. This is the difference between
Yeah.
okay. You can call a function in a stored procedure, but you cannot call stored procedure in a function. Then UDF have only access to extended stored procedures. UDF have only access to extended stored procedures. Then UDFs cannot make use of dynamic SQL or temporary table within the code, and that is why we use variables. In a stored procedure you can use temporary tables, but in UDFs you cannot use temporary tables. That is why we have been using variables in the case of function. Table variables are allowed though, because those are variables. UDFs cannot return XML. UDF does not support set options. Okay. UDF does not support set options. UDF does not support error handling. So again, you won't be able to use try catch, raise error, or add error in UDFs, but you can use them into SQL stored procedures. Then UDF is allowed to modify the physical state of database using insert, update, or delete statement. So like we have just used, I was trying to use insert in the first case when we were using, that error handling thing in prompt. UDF can be called through SQL statement without using the execute statement. So like for running, in order to run a function, I use select. I did not use execute, because execute is used with stored procedure, not with functions. Then last but not the least is that any of the three variations, that scalar, inline, or multi-line statement, cannot be used to return multiple result set. So every time it will return only one result set, that could be in a form of a table or a single value. Like in case of a stored procedure, we got two results at that time, that we were getting two outputs. But in case of function, it will never return two outputs. It will always return only one output, but it can be a table or a single value. So these are the basic, limitation, or I would say that we covered the differences between stored procedures. Tomorrow again we will do the same topics bit in detail, like the error handling thing once again we'll be covering, so that it will be clear for you. All right. So Hinduja, I'm closing this invite today, and tomorrow we'll be covering the error handling once again. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right then. I'll be talking to the IntelliPad once again, so they will upload the video for you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.